Today we're interviewing Warren Albutt, the company director and founder of S2F. So Warren, as you know, S2F was set up 20 years ago in 2005.
Yeah.
And we've got some questions for you.
Fire away, that's what I'm here for.
Okay, so what do you remember most about the early days of setting up S2F?
Well, the early days, as a lot of people who set up a business will know, was quite tough. So myself and a guy called Steve Jolliffe, who was co-founder with me back in 2005, we set up from my garage. So we literally converted my garage. We worked from there. And I must say, we had to beg, borrow, steal equipment, do whatever. But it was scary. We had no experience of being an agency, and we had no customer base, so no money coming in. It was a tough few weeks, shall we say, before momentum started to gain.
Okay, it does sound like starting a business from scratch can be kind of daunting. So hats off to the chef. But we don't want just the good stuff, so let's get a little bit visceral. What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced in that first year?
The first year, I suppose, was going out and winning new business. And what we were trying to do is educate people into this retainer sort of service, which basically meant one point of contact for all your marketing. So that part of it was hard because we were having to educate people. But I would probably say it was year two where we really it was very, very hard. We had two clients of ours at the time who both went bump. They took us for probably about 30% of our turnover that year. And that was a real tough time for us because financially, it was we'd done the work and hadn't got paid. But the good thing that came out of that was we really then started to understand the thing about ideal customer profile. So getting the right people. So now, and really from year two, we try and partner with our clients rather than just have a customer.
That sounds great. So I know I didn't know you back then when I was all but 7.
Yeah, all right, okay.
But I think that you're not the same person that started the business. People change, and so do businesses. So how has your original vision for S2F changed over the years?
This is really interesting. So yes, as a person, I've changed, but what is lovely about the vision for start to finish, it hasn't changed too much. So when we very first started, we had the ethos of look after the customer, the success will look after itself. And I'm very happy and pleased to say that now, so it's not just me, the team also believe in that ethos. So actually, we've got the same view of looking after that client, putting the customer first, then as we do now.
That sounds really great. So I personally choose to believe that everyone has a moment in their life where they just look around, take a deep breath and say, wow, I really have made it, haven't I? Was there a specific point for you that you felt that S2F had truly made it?
So that's an interesting point, because what I would say is, and I bet a lot of people who have their own businesses will appreciate this, is I probably haven't ever sat back and enjoyed success or even thought that I've been successful. However, if I do look back, I think what was a real big point for us is when we had our first employment. So the first person we employed, and that was a guy called Sean Kearney. And he's still with us today, so that's 16 years on. And having the responsibility of somebody else, so it was myself, Steve, and then Sean as well, was quite a scary moment. But I must say, I now look back and I've got a whole team and it all seems fantastic. But that was a real milestone for me. It was like a real we're about to employ our first person. And it's worked out fantastically well.
And he's still here.
And he's still here, he hasn't got away. I won't let him get away.
So, 2 decades is a long time.
All right, yeah.
So what has been, other than what you've just said, the most rewarding moment for you?
I think the most rewarding moments, and I'll say moments, is over the years we've done our S2F away day. And it's where the whole team, we go away, hotel, stay overnight, have a meal, what have you, but we have a day of just doing a bit of fun. So in other words, looking at what are the new trends in marketing, people are presenting what they've done, they've worked on it over a few months leading up to it. And just everyone being able to relax, chill, not worry about work so much, and just enjoy. And I think those will be the times where we've had a lot of laughter, a lot of fun, and I must say, Obviously, we've got one coming up very soon where we're off to London for our 20th anniversary. And that, I think, is my bit that I enjoy the most, I think. I'm
sure the team greatly appreciates it.
Absolutely.
So the company has a couple of ethos. The first one being no pain, no gain. I'm joking. I mean gift to gain.
Yes.
So tell us more about the origin of this phrase and how it continues to shape your business.
Yeah, okay. So I think what you've got sometimes in with marketing, people believe they've got to sell. You know, I've got this mug, I need to sell this sort of mug. But the problem is that not everybody really wants to be sold at, and that's the thing you're being sold at. So the whole point of give to gain is if we can position ourselves or our clients as thought leaders within their industry, then what that means is they're giving away their little bit of secret sauce. So in other words, they're giving, but ultimately they're going to gain because people are going to trust them. So that trust gets built, and so subsequently from that trust will come new customers, new thought processes. So for me, it's very, very key. Give to gain all the time. So always give a little bit and then you'll gain a little bit more.
That makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
So another ethos that you've previously mentioned is look after your customer and the success will look after itself.
Yes.
So we know S2F is customer first minded, but how has this piece of advice influenced S2F's approach to client service?
Yeah, so this all stems back in the day when I used to work for a company called Fosrock. We had a marketing agency they dealt with, and he was the one that gave us that advice. And so from that, we've always made sure, so the whole point of look after the customer and success will look after itself is be transparent, be creative, be thoughtful at all times, and always have the client's needs at the forefront of your mind. Because what's lovely and what we have that maybe a lot of other companies don't have is every little win that the client has is a win for us. So we get to celebrate successes every single day of the week, but we're celebrating it on behalf of the client rather than from us. And I love that ethos and want that ethos to carry on through everything.
That's really lovely. So throughout everything you've said and from knowing the business, we know that S2F thrives in being fire. And by fire, I mean cool. And by cool, I clearly mean different from traditional agencies.
You do know my age. I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, go on, yeah.
So I want to draw out the company's unique selling points, but in your own words.
Yeah.
So what do you think sets us apart from the crowd?
Yeah. So this, again, is a really interesting one because we ask our clients this a lot of the time. And what makes us fire, or it makes us, you know, what I would say is one of the leading agencies in the UK, is quite simply the team. So the team attitude, the team skills. So way back when we've been working with a client called PP Control and Automation. So there's a guy called Tony Haig, and he very much believed in employ an attitude, train a skill. So what we did with us going forward was all the time, it's all about the attitude. The skills can be learned, the skills can be taught in-house, can be learned elsewhere, and we're lucky that a lot of people that come to us have those skills. They are web designers, they are videographers, they are copywriters, but ultimately it's about honing those skills afterwards. So what sets us apart, quite frankly, is the team. That's why they're forefront on the website. And I would say to anybody, if you want to have a quick look at how we are, get on to Meet the Team, have a look at the pictures that we've got there. That's what makes us special.
That answer actually links really great with the next part of the interview, because I know you're a people person, your customers, your team, your environment. And although that's partially what makes you great and the face of the business, as we know, no company grows without great people behind it.
That's correct.
So let's shift the spotlight to the team and focus a little bit on those. The ones that have come and gone, the ones that have come and stayed, the ones that have a layer of dust because they have been here so long. So how have the individuals that have you worked with shaped the business over the years?
I think what's nice, whether they're older, let's change that, more experienced, or the youngster ones, I think what's nice is that every single person has moulded the business, but more importantly, moulded me as well. So I've found that I've changed depending on who I'm dealing with, from the team. And I think I've learned quite a lot from that, which is really nice. So what I like about our business is the diversity that we have within the team, from different cultures, male, female, and I think, and of course, different ages. So I think we've got that group of experienced team members, but we've also got the sort of the youth and age, i.e. young and old. And I think it's that sort of mixture that makes the team so good and why I'm so happy with what we've built so far.
So if you had to describe the S2F team, because we know it's special, how would you say?
Ooh, okay. So I would say dynamic, creative, authentic, I think is really, but the main thing I think is the fact they care. That literally is it. They care about each other. They care about the service. I had a client come in the other day. They were working from here for the day, and they called me on the way home to phone and say, I've worked in many offices over the years, and I can say this is the calmest, loveliest environment I've ever worked in. He said the team were chatting away to me, asking about me. They were laughing and joking amongst themselves. They were, head down and grafting, and it was just so lovely for me to hear that an outsider's view. You know, we may all think that we're doing a great job and we are working well as a team, but to have an outsider say, I've been here for a full day and I can tell you this, that was just lovely. You only need to look at some of our testimonials, actually, where a lot of people refer about the people rather than even about the service itself. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, it does indeed. So looking beyond the team, but including the team if you so wish, are there any clients or collaborators who've really shaped and had a lasting impact on the business?
That's really interesting because, of course, 20 years has been quite few, so undoubtedly I'm probably going to miss some people out. But I'm going to go right back. So right back in year one, we met a guy called Harvey Hussain, who was working for Business Link at the time, doesn't exist anymore, but he really got to know us and really got to understand what we're about and introduced us to our first few clients. We started doing free seminars for his for Business Link, and that worked well. Another lady called Mandy Canny, she worked for the Birmingham Chamber of Commerce. She also encouraged us to move over to the Chamber of Commerce buildings, which we had been there for at least 10 years or so. And she, again, free webinars, free seminars. We got introduced to a lot of people because of that. I'd also like to do a little bit of a shout out to a guy called Andy Boylo, who's been my sort of business mentor for the last 10 years or so. He's been great, and I even popped round and saw him last night just to sort of talk about tonight, or today, sorry, for what we're doing. And of course, I need to mention Steve. So Steve Jolliffe, who was my business partner for 17 years, was a huge influence in the growth of the business and the growth of me as an individual. But ultimately, I would say the team have helped grow and helped me grow. Whether those are people who have come and gone or are still here now, they've all had a big influence on this business.
That's really great to hear. So, am I correct in assuming that since 2005, marketing has changed dramatically? Because I keep seeing all these rebrandings that focus on changing the layout slightly or the colour scheme just to match more the digital landscape rather than print. I feel like marketing, it's not just advertisement anymore, it's almost a language in itself. Yeah. So from your perspective, what are some of the biggest shifts you've seen in the industry, and how has S2F adapted to them? Right,
okay. Okay, we could talk for ages on this, and maybe we need to do a separate sort of interview on this. So as a business, so as S2F over the last 20 years, we've gone through a lot of economical issues. So, they're old now, but I've gone through 2 recessions, gone through Brexit, gone through COVID. You're absolutely right that the move when we started 20 years ago from print to now more digital has absolutely swung the digital way. So that's why we see more people are on social media, the importance of SEO, the importance of pay-per-click, the importance of getting your websites, your shop front doing so well. But actually, and I'm sure this doesn't come as a surprise to any of the people out there who are listening, is AI has massively changed. And so back in November 23, we set up a task force. We saw the importance of this, set up a task force straight away, and we have a number of team members that are constantly looking at the ways in which We can use AI to improve our service to our clients, but more importantly, make sure that we are not overstepping any issues with GDPR. AI is a bit of a minefield. To be perfectly honest, it's the Wild West out there at the moment. And I'm sure all these marketeers will completely understand where I'm coming from is, what platform do you use? There are so many of them that it's just, you don't know where to turn. So for us, we carry on doing what we're doing, but we use AI to improve and help our clients. The whole team are encouraged to use AI, but we're very transparent with the client. We'll say, yes, on this occasion, sometimes we've used this. And I think for a lot of people, it might be very obvious that AI has been used. So I would say the biggest one, and obviously it's quite recent, for the last few years, is AI has been a massive one. And actually, it's going to be fun and enjoyable and interesting to see what it brings to, marketeers around the globe.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah.
So I know you have recently introduced management systems within the business like S2F Central and targeting systems for like LinkedIn with S2F Connect.
Yeah.
So it is clear to me that your service and S2F's service offerings have expanded over time. Moreover, I feel like as a person, you've always had an eye on the now and an eye on tomorrow.
Yes.
So which additions or developments are you most proud of?
I would say, you just mentioned there S2F Central. We spent a long time, spending well over a year on of producing that for ourselves. Because the long and short of it is, in my eyes, if you are more successful in what you're doing, if you can prioritise better, it means that the client gets a better service because you've got more time to give to them. So S2F Central, where we manage retainers, manage time, manage our tasks, really is a massive benefit to us and ultimately the client. And what's nice is we don't stand still. Every quarter, we're looking to change, we're looking to tweak it, we're looking to improve everything from that point of view. You mentioned there about S2F Connect, which is the automated LinkedIn. Again, we took a year to work on that for ourselves to make sure it works, make sure it generates leads. And I must say, it's a fantastic platform. We're getting great results, but only if we do it with Give to Gain. So if we follow that strategy, then it works. If you do go in straight away with automated LinkedIn with sell, then that it may not work quite as well. So that's worked well. And then we've got a new one coming up as well. So you're quite right, always thinking of what the next thing is. And the next thing at the moment is something called S2F Blueprint. And the idea being is some smaller businesses out there that may not be able to afford, 10 grand for a new bespoke website. They'll want something smaller, but they don't want to do it themselves. They need somebody who can write the text, can do the images, can do the layout and what have you. We've done that now. So we've now got a wonderful, affordable website offer to a lot of people out there where it's a small amount of money up front, and then we'll carry on with monthly sort of fees just to keep it all ticking over. So again, why have we done that? Because we're thinking of the client. There are clients out there that can't maybe afford to work with an agency like ours, so we want them to have the opportunity of benefiting from our experience. And what's going to come up in years to come? I don't know. That's where you youngsters will be coming up, and they'll be hoping to force the thought process of improvement all the time.
Improvement it is. So instead of looking forward, I want to go back a little bit. And as you know, the mid-20s not only brought my primary school years, but most importantly, the rise of the internet and digital platforms.
Yes.
So it is now a distinct approach to traditional marketing, which you mentioned before. So thinking about the original proposition of the company and its current approach, how has that concept evolved? I know you said it didn't change much, but how do customers and clients respond to it today?
Right, well, I talked about Sean when he first started with us, and Sean came from a print background. He did initially actually work for a manufacturer, but he then went to a printers. So our first person was somebody who specialised in print, large format, small exhibition stand stuff. So it's great. So that was very much the focus back, in 2009, I think it was, when he joined us. And now, if we look at what we've got like yourself, it's social media, we've got Sam social media and copywriting, but copywriting mostly for online, so websites. We've now got two guys with Luke and Cameron working on website side of things. Even Antonio from video, the video now it's more and more important on there. So yeah, most of the people that have joined S2F recently in the last 6 or 7 years has been mainly digitally focused, and that's where it's at. I have to be honest, I quite like it. You're thinking old dinosaur, aren't they? I prefer the printed stuff, but what's great about what we're doing now is it's measurable. We've got this wonderful platform that we use, which allows the clients every single day, if they want to, can go on and have a look what the results are. We can see that from a digital point of view because we can follow where people have visited or what they've seen or how long they've been on the site. So I think we're moving in all the right directions from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, it sounds like the clients would respond really good to having those tangible results in front of them.
And that's a good point, actually. Sorry, I know it's not your next question, but I do want to point out on the tangible results. So there are many clients who understand marketing and they'll go, yes, we know we need it. But there'll be others as well who are a little bit reticent. So being able to prove that this has worked and here are the results just gives people that thought of, oh, okay, I'm getting a good return on investment. So, yeah.
So that was a great answer. And we have gone through a lot of the heavy stuff.
Yes.
But I want a little bit more from you. I want to know the story behind S2F, the story behind yourself also. So from an S2F point of view, is there a standout client success story that stuck with you throughout the years?
Ooh, okay, so again, I said to you before about we're very lucky that we get to enjoy the wins from all of our clients' point of view is great. But I think if I think of a real success story, and it's not all about stats and it's not about we've got this much amount of sales or whatever, is a company. There was a guy called Martin Wardell who, when we first met him, there was just a few people working in a tiny little office. And I remember, it's probably going back now, maybe about 10, 12 years. It was Christmas Eve and he said, Warren, I want you to come and see my brand new offices and warehouse I've got. I was like, yeah, no problem. So I came down. It was just him and me just standing there looking around. He said, look at this. We'll never need to move again. We've gone from that cramped little thing to all this space. It's absolutely superb. And, well, they've been working with us for about 15 years and now they basically occupy the whole of that trading estate. So not only have they just got that one building, they have got 5, 6 different buildings around there on that trading estate. And it's those success stories that really empowers me to want to do more of that. It's exciting.
So they really did say we're not moving.
They're absolutely right. Yeah, they did not. They stayed exactly where they were, but they just expanded on that whole trading estate.
Yeah. So I would like to hear from you a particularly unexpected or funny moment from the early days.
It's a tough one, really, because I suppose I won't specifically say about anything individual because there's nothing really that pops out at all other than go back to the away days, just the fun and the laughter that we have. What I do love about the fact is when we come to this, we've now come to these offices here, the fact that we've got the dogs, that we can bring their dogs along. So Kieran brings hers, Sean brings his, I obviously bring mine. And just to see the smiles that dogs bring, I think that is probably one of the biggest things. So there's nothing that jumps out other than, Steve and I years ago, we did travel around a little bit, so we went to Iceland to sort of meet up with a client. We've been around Europe and areas for that as well. So we've had some fun and laughter and things from that. But I think go back to those away days. They're just really good fun. And what it's nice to see is since we've got more younger people within S2F, we are going out more, we are socialising more. And I think that's quite an important part of any type of sort of teamwork. Yeah.
So for the following question, you may think we've already touched on this a little bit, and to some extent you might be right, but as opposed to looking back or forward, I want you to look around, focus on the right now, your business, your team, your services, your office, even your reputation. What achievement other than S2F Central and S2F Connect and S2F Blueprint have we hit as a business that you had never envisioned happening?
You know, I'll tell you what, when we very first started, I did sort of think about, we could have a wonderful office that, you know, like proper agencies use. So of course, back in the day, I mean, I worked for a company that was turning over 300 million. So we dealt with like big marketing agencies, and we went to their offices and it was really nice. And you saw the team and they're all working away busily. And I could never see from working from my garage, you know, just, you know, Steve and I couldn't ever see or envisage where we are now. But when I have clients come round, and one the other day contacted me to say, I can genuinely say I've got office envy. Your offices are fantastic, the team are fantastic. So yeah, that was nice. I think that is where I think, yes, I've got a team around me and they're all really good. And you know what's really nice as well is I'm now starting to slow down a bit and the team don't need me as much. And I think that's the important thing for me. That's where I can say I've achieved stuff, because I can allow the team to run and I can allow them to do better than I've done.
That sounds to me like a wow, I really did make it moment.
Yeah, it is, I think so.
So we know you, as the team knows you, and we know that you're always brimming with fresh and exciting ideas.
Yes.
And I'm sure that even after 20 years, you still have many more to come. So what excites you the most about the future?
Okay, so one thing I would say is, for every idea that I have and gets communicated, there's usually another sort of like 10 or 20 that gets parked. You know, because you've got, if you're in this industry, you've got to be you're always going to be thinking of what the next thing is and how you can grow, but sustainably grow, not just go massively. That's always been the thing for me. We've always steadily grown, because the minute you start going like that, that's when you've got issues. You've got to employ people that maybe doesn't have the right attitude, but they have they have the skill, and then that's when you mess up the apple cart. So that, I suppose. But what I'm going to say is it's not actually about me now. It's not about me coming up with those ideas. It's you guys coming up with these ideas. That's what excites me, because it's all very well having a vision yourself and coming up with things, but I'm very lucky, I suppose, that I am always open to other people's thoughts and processes. And I can't wait to hear, you know, different ideas. The tough thing I think about someone like myself is actually saying no. I mean, a lot of the time you want to sort of go, yeah, that sounds great, let's go for it all the time, because it's always exciting. But there are on the odd occasion I'm going to say no. So that's probably going to be more of a challenge for me than it will do for anyone else. But certainly from my point of view, it's the team. It's their creativity, it's their ideas that excites me.
Nice. So you say that it's the younger generations now that are going to take over and bring the ideas. And I'm not trying to get ahead, I promise, but where do you see S2F in 5 years?
So 5 years, well, S2F, hopefully by then we'll have, you know, maybe different management structure, and maybe I've stepped aside a little bit, maybe even in 5 or 10 years time I might be sitting on a beach somewhere drinking a beer. But where do I see us? I see us steadily growing, keeping a wonderful, strong, loyal customer base, and everyone just being chilled and relaxed and enjoying their work. I say this quite often because I think through life, no matter who you are, you get so many challenges. And those challenges can really affect you physically, mentally, whatever. And I want this place to be a happy place, somewhere that people feel comfortable to come in, look forward to come to. I think that's the thing, is looking forward to coming to the office and looking forward to chatting with their friends. It doesn't mean that we just become a talking house here. Sometimes it is head down and working, but it's doing it in a lovely, comfortable environment. So I think that's where I see us, that we carry on that trajectory of where we are at the moment.
I think that sounds like a great place to work.
Thank you very much.
So far we've done 19 questions, but who does 19 questions and call it quits, right?
You're absolutely right.
So it has to be an even 20, but I don't want to talk about the business anymore, nor about marketing. What I want you is to imagine yourself. You're in front of a younger Warren.
Oh, a lot slimmer than I'm hoping at this point.
It is the 12th of May of 2005. You're having an early morning coffee with him on a nice terrace. The day is warm and his childlike wonder and enthusiasm are brimming, and he can't stop talking about all his plans and ideas for this marketing agency, as well as his hopes and dreams for what life has to bring for him. So what piece of advice would you give yourself before starting this journey?
Okay, so probably 3 things, and I would say this to not just myself, but I think I would say it to a lot of people, The first one is be the best version of yourself. Don't change, just always work on yourself and be the better version of yourself is a one. Self-doubt can affect a lot of people in a bad way. So that's one. Always learn. I've been very lucky that in life I've always enjoyed learning and reading up, and even though you finish your day, it doesn't mean that I'm not then on socials and seeing what other people are doing, or reading books to there. So it's that continued learning. So again, it's that continue doing that. But I would say, which I sort of touched on before, the biggest thing that I wish I knew was learn to appreciate the wins. Learn to look at the successes and pat yourself on the back. I've never looked in the mirror and I've never said well done. And I think that's the key thing. And this is why this, May 2025 for us, and certainly for me personally, is a big thing. I want to celebrate that win. I want to celebrate that we got to 20 years, and I want the team to celebrate. And that has been quite a big thing for me, to look in the mirror and think, why have I never done that before? So that would be the biggest thing. But it isn't just for me. I would say that to you, and I'd say that to everybody else out there.
So I think I can confidently say from the whole team of S2F, well done, Warren. You've done great.
Very kind of you. Thank you very much.
And that's it. Thank you so much for spending the time talking to me. And I am sure Antonio, the videographer, will make a fantastic piece out of this interview.
Absolutely.
Incredible interview.
As long as it makes me look younger, that's all I really care about. Thank you very much indeed. I really enjoyed it.
Good. Me too.